Hello guys, Matthew here and welcome back again to the TechTick YouTube channel. Yes, all those rumors were true. Today AMD released a refreshed lineup of GPUs called the RX 500 series, which are basically completely the same architecture-wise compared to the now previous generation, which we all loved, the RX 400 series. As you can see, here in front of me stands MSI's most famous Gaming X aftermarket series of graphics cards, this particular one obviously being based on the RX 580 GPU. There is not a lot of difference packaging-wise between it and that same model from the previous generation, it's just a little bit differently arranged in terms of the pointed out features on the front and the back, while you can also notice that we have this R Radeon logo sitting on the corners of the box. Removing everything out of it, for the bundle you'll get your standard disappointing one, just some user manuals, optical disc with drivers and software, and a thank you note, and of course the graphics card itself. MSI again used their famous twin frozer cooler design, which is in its 6th generation now, so compared to the exact same series based on the previous RX 480 GPU, nothing was significantly changed, being it design or function wise. To make this a bit more fun, try to guess which one is the RX 580 out of these two. There's a poll card in the right top corner of the video, give it a go, I'll wait for you to answer it. Let me try and guess. This one is an RX 480. Nope, I was wrong, it was an RX 580. Bottom line, you'll again get this good looking and very capable cooler design with the red and black color combination, which is widely adopted among users. The custom PCB is sandwiched between two backplates, your standard one on the back with MSI's Dragon and some cool details, and the other one which sits between the PCB and the aluminum heatsink itself, directly onto the video memory and power design, overall improving their cooling capabilities. Together with that aluminum heatsink, it's 5 heat pipes and 2 100mm MSI's Torx 2.0 fans. You won't have any worries in terms of properly cooling the card, but we never did in the first place when it comes to MSI and their cooling solutions. On the side we have your RGB LED lit MSI's Dragon logo coupled with red LEDs only on the top part of that plastic shroud surrounding the second back fan. You can control both of them with MSI's gaming app utility. I've covered that topic few times already in my previous videos, last one being with MSI's GTX 1080 Ti Gaming X model. On that same back end you'll find one 8-pin PCI Express power connector for the additional power delivery, while opposite of that, on the front we have an array of 2 display ports, 2 HDMIs and 1 DVI-D. That's pretty much it for this series generation. I didn't want to go too much into details as nothing actually changed. They've basically just transferred the existing design from the RX 480 to RX 580 series, and beside that they didn't need to do anything else if you ask me, as bottom line those are the same GPUs. That last sentence then begs the question, what's actually different with the RX 500 series, or to be more precise for my case here, how is the RX 580 different from the RX 480? The main thing that AMD points out for this generation is that we now have a more refined die coming in as their 3rd generation of 14nm FinFET manufacturing process, thus delivering a more capable GPU when it comes to achieving higher clocks, enhanced power efficiency and general optimization. AMD is also again putting emphasis on their Radeon Chill technology, which in theory bumps up the response time and lowers down the GPU power consumption and temperatures for the games which support that feature. Essentially, it limits down the performance in games that aren't representing a more serious GPU workload, so you don't waste additional power on getting those really high frame rates which you don't actually need. Like for example, you have a 60Hz display and you're getting over 200 FPS in Dota 2. They are also pointing out improved single and dual monitor power consumption in idle when in Windows desktop for around 5 to 20 watts compared to the RX 400 series. Since this is obviously far from being a new product when it comes to architecture, marketing-wise AMD put a Polaris Evolved sticker on their promotion strategy, and they are not comparing the RX 500 series directly to the previous RX 400 generation of AMD's GPUs or current generation of Nvidia's Pascal GPUs. They are aiming at users who have older generation of graphics cards, like for example the R7 370, R9 380, GTX 960 or GTX 970, suggesting the RX RX 500 series, the 570 and 580 models as the most appropriate upgrade choice for them value-wise at this point in time. That's all well and good, but let's check out the actual graphics card in hand and its performance. Before all, I was eager to check out its overclocking potential, as this GPU die should in theory be more overclocking capable, as we have a more refined and improved manufacturing process. That turned out to be correct, as I managed to get 1440 MHz fully stable, which is almost 80 MHz more compared to my RX 480 Gaming X review. The video memory clocks more or less the same, just a bit above the 2200 MHz mark. At stock settings in MSI's OC mode, the card goes up to 1392 MHz for the GPU clock speed, as opposed for the, so to speak, AMD's default clock of 1340 MHz for the reference RX 580, or MSI's 1380 MHz of default factory overclock and their gaming mode profile in the case of the Gaming X series. Putting all of that to the test, doing my usual run of games and benchmarks, as expected, there were no surprises. Bottom line, you'll be getting a very capable 1080p graphics card for high framerate gaming, or at least a decent performing one for a 16:9 1440p resolution, or even at this 21:9 3440x1440 resolution. Thankfully, as I have two GPUs coming from the same manufacturer within those two generations, MSI's Gaming X version of RX 580 and RX 480, performance-wise I can basically compare them and check out the difference, which I of course did. Obviously on account of a higher GPU core clock, with both cards being in MSI's OC mode profile, the RX 580 took the victory, but by a really small margin, so it's not a big deal breaker compared to the RX 480, especially since you can catch up on that difference with a simple manual overclock. On the other hand, it cannot actually be a deal breaker, as the current RX 400 series is almost impossible to find on stock, and that was probably the AMD's overall plan, to completely deplete the stock of the ongoing RX 400 generation and promptly replace it with RX 500, so the ball can continue to roll as it was. I have nothing against that at all, don't get me wrong, in the end you will get a slightly better product for the same or lower price, but on the other hand I am a bit sad that we'll miss out for the most part that opportunity to get a cheap but equally capable graphics card like back in the day with the R9 290X and R9 390X generation change, with the difference being even smaller now. Of course, you can always always get a used one, which is probably even a better solution. Taking a look at the GPU temperature, in idle I saw it holding just under 40 degrees Celsius, while under load in Firmac it roams around 68 to 72 degrees Celsius, with fans spinning at around 1300 RPM, and in games that's usually just a bit below that, around 1100 RPM, with temperatures being anywhere from 65 to 70 degrees Celsius. The noise difference between those two fan speeds is almost indistinguishable. Bottom line, the card is very quiet during load operation, and here's an audio sample of the noise under Firmac load, so that's the worst case scenario. Bottom line, as I've already mentioned, it's not that I'm not happy getting a little bit more refined and slightly better performing product for the same price, but I'm not too glad seeing AMD sort of struggling to push the boundaries a little further. I'm pretty much aware of the fact that that's not due to lack of ingenuity or engineering knowledge, as it's more a finance-related issue for them, as already discussed by some colleagues in the industry. Putting that aside, I'm keeping a positive mind and waiting for AMD's Vega to be released. That's it guys for this time from me. Thank you once again for watching. Feel free to toss me a thumbs up if you like what you saw. That really helps me a lot. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions about this product or if you want to leave your suggestions. And of course, feel free to subscribe for content further down the line, or you can just check out some of my other videos from before. Until then, catch you later guys.